I never believed betrayal could live inside the same walls where love once bloomed. My name is Ethan Cole, and I'm here to tell you how the woman I trusted more than anyone else shattered my life, and how I carved my way back with revenge so cold, it still chills me to remember it. For 10 years, I was married to Sophie. We had what looked like the perfect life. A beautiful house in the suburbs, 2 kids who laughed like angels, and a marriage people envied. I worked long hours at my architectural firm to give her everything, while she stayed home, raising our children and managing our world. Or so I thought. The cracks started small. Sophie became distant, distracted. She spent more time on her phone than she did looking me in the eye. Nights that used to be filled with conversation turned into silence, broken only by the faint clicks of her screen. One evening, while she was putting the kids to bed, her phone lit up on the kitchen counter. A message flashed across the screen. "I can't stop thinking about you. Last night was unforgettable." My heart stopped. My lungs refused to breathe. I told myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe a friend. Maybe something else. But deep down, a seed of dread began to grow. From that night, I started watching more closely. I noticed how she smiled when she texted, how she slipped away to take calls in hushed tones, how her yoga classes grew longer, and her eyes glowed when she returned. The turning point came one Saturday when she said she was meeting her friend Claire for brunch. But Claire happened to be my colleague's wife, and when I casually asked him later, he told me Claire had been at home sick all weekend. I knew then Sophie was lying. That night, while she showered, I finally gave in to temptation and opened her phone. What I found destroyed me. There were hundreds of messages between Sophie and a man named Marcus. He wasn't just anyone. He was my boss. The man who had given me my first job out of college. The man who mentored me. The man I trusted. Their words were filthy, passionate, intimate in ways I hadn't seen from her in years. Pictures, videos, promises of a future together. I sat there in the dark, the phone trembling in my hands. Betrayal cut through me like glass. My wife and my boss, the 2 people who owed me loyalty the most, had conspired behind my back. I could have confronted her then. I could have thrown the phone at her feet and screamed. But I didn't, because I knew if I did, they would twist the truth, paint me as insecure, maybe even break me down in court, take my kids, and leave me with nothing. No, I wasn't going to give them that satisfaction. I decided in that moment to play along, to smile, to pretend, to act as though I was still the blind, faithful husband, all while I quietly built the trap that would destroy them both. This is not just a story of betrayal. This is the story of how I planned every detail, every move, until I had them exactly where I wanted them. The night I uncovered Sophie's affair with Marcus, I felt like my entire world had collapsed. But instead of exploding, I forced myself to sit in silence, to let the pain burn slowly. Because I knew the fire inside me would be the very thing I'd use to destroy them. The next morning, Sophie greeted me with a smile, kissed me on the cheek, and poured my coffee. It was almost laughable, her pretending, her mask of innocence, while I held the weight of her filth inside me. I played along. At work, Marcus acted no different either. He patted me on the back, praised my designs, even told me I was on track for a big promotion. It was sickening, but it also told me something important. They thought they were untouchable. They thought I was blind, and that arrogance would be their undoing. I started small. Every evening, I backed up Sophie's phone data onto a hidden drive. Every text, every picture, every video saved. I installed a small recording device in her car, one she would never notice, tucked beneath the seat. I placed a camera in the living room clock, angled perfectly to catch her when I wasn't home. Weeks passed, and I gathered more than enough evidence to bury them both. Sophie thought her lies were airtight. She told me she was going to yoga, but I watched in real time as she drove to Marcus's condo. I saw her walk inside. I saw her kiss him in the parking lot. Each time, my rage grew, but I smiled through it. I kissed her goodnight. I played with my kids. I let her believe she was winning. One night, while she was out, I poured myself a glass of whiskey and stared at the files I had collected. Hours of video, hundreds of messages, proof of everything. But evidence wasn't enough for me. No, I didn't just want to expose them. I wanted to break them. And so I built a plan. The first step was financial. Sophie had no idea about our accounts. She trusted me to manage everything. Quietly, I moved money into a separate account under my brother's name. I prepared the legal documents, consulted a lawyer in secret, and positioned myself for divorce on my terms. The second step was reputation. Marcus was loved at the firm, admired by the board. But I knew once the board saw what I had, videos of him sleeping with an employee's wife, using company trips as cover, it would destroy him. The third step was timing. Betrayal this deep deserved more than a quiet ending. It deserved a stage, an audience. I wanted them to feel the sting of humiliation, the kind they would never recover from. So I waited. I watched. I built my moment carefully. The opportunity came in the form of the annual company gala. Marcus himself asked me to attend, even gave me a slot to present my latest architectural design to the board. Sophie insisted she wanted to come too, dressed in her most elegant gown, her eyes sparkling with the arrogance of someone who believed she had everyone fooled. I played the part of the doting husband, hand at her back, smile on my face. Inside, I was a storm. When my turn came to present, I walked onto the stage, clicked the remote, and my design appeared on the massive screen. Applause filled the room. Marcus smiled proudly from the front row. Sophie clapped her delicate hands together. And then I clicked again. The screen shifted. A new video began to play. At first, the audience didn't understand what they were seeing. A dimly lit hotel room. Sophie, laughing, kissing Marcus. Clothes falling away. Their voices, unmistakable. Gasps filled the hall. The board members leaned forward in shock. Phones rose into the air, recording. Sophie's face drained of color. Marcus shot to his feet, roaring, but the video kept playing. Clip after clip, evidence stacked like bricks in a wall of shame. I stood there, calm, my hands folded behind my back. This, I said into the microphone, my voice steady, is what betrayal looks like. My wife, my boss, the people I trusted most. Chaos erupted. The board members shouted. Wives dragged their husbands out of the room. Marcus tried to lunge at me, but security held him back. Sophie sobbed into her hands, her mascara smearing across her cheeks. And I walked off stage, my head held high, my heart pounding with the taste of justice. But that was only the beginning. Because what they didn't know was that the true revenge hadn't even started yet. The night of the gala became a memory people would whisper about for years. I walked out of that hall with my head high, while Sophie and Marcus were left in ruins. But my revenge wasn't finished. What happened that night was just the public unveiling. The real destruction was still waiting. When we got home, Sophie tried to play the role of the broken wife. She begged, pleaded, dropped to her knees in the living room, tears streaming down her face. She told me it was a mistake, that she had been lonely, that she didn't know what she was doing. But I wasn't the man she thought I was anymore. I had listened to her lies for too long. Now, every word she spoke sounded hollow, disgusting. I know everything, I told her calmly. Every detail, every text, every video. You weren't lonely, Sophie. You were reckless. And now you'll pay. Her face twisted with rage when she realized tears wouldn't save her. She screamed that I couldn't take the kids from her, that she would fight me in court. That's when I handed her the thick folder of documents I had already prepared with my lawyer. "Read it," I said. Inside was everything. Transcripts of her messages, photos, videos, proof of her constant absence from the children's lives. Evidence that painted her not just as unfaithful, but as an unfit mother. Her hands shook as she flipped through it. You planned this?" "Yes," I said, my voice like steel. "While you were busy destroying our marriage, I was building your downfall." The divorce process was brutal, but only for her. My lawyer shredded every attempt she made to claim innocence. When the judge saw the evidence, custody of the children came to me without question. Sophie was granted visitation, but even that was limited. She had walked out of my life with nothing but shame. As for Marcus, his fall was spectacular. The board of directors suspended him immediately after the gala. Within days, his resignation was forced. His wife, yes, he had a wife of 20 years, filed for divorce, and she had lawyers far more ruthless than mine. He lost his job, his reputation, his family, and his fortune in one sweep. But I wasn't done yet. Revenge, for me, wasn't just about exposing them. It was about making sure they lived every day knowing they had lost to me. I bought Marcus's car at an auction when his assets were liquidated. His prized possession, a sleek black Porsche he used to flaunt at work, now sat in my driveway, a reminder that everything he once had belonged to me now. Sophie tried to rebuild her life, moving into a small apartment on the other side of town. I heard she started dating again, but every man eventually found out about her past. Screenshots of her affair always seemed to find their way to them. Anonymous emails, forwarded messages. It was amazing how quickly the world turned its back on her. I didn't need to lift a finger anymore. Their reputations were poisoned beyond repair. One night, months later, Marcus called me. His voice was broken, slurred from alcohol. "You ruined me, Ethan," he whispered. "You destroyed my life." I smiled as I leaned back in my chair. No, Marcus, you destroyed yourself. I just showed the world who you really are. The line went silent, and I never heard from him again. As for me, I rose higher than ever. My designs were praised. I was offered Marcus's old position, the irony delicious. My children thrived in my care, laughing again, safe from the toxicity their mother had brought into our home. I don't regret what I did. Not a second of it. Some people say revenge doesn't heal, that it leaves you hollow. Maybe that's true for them. But for me, revenge was justice. Revenge was closure. Revenge was the fire that burned away the rot, leaving me free to start again. So when people ask me how I survived betrayal, I tell them the truth. I didn't just survive. I conquered. And the scars they left on me, those are the marks of a man who refused to be broken.